The movie is set in the year 2154, where Earth has become overcrowded and polluted beyond repair. New diseases have emerged, making half of the population sick. Once vibrant cities have now decayed into slums. Society is deeply divided between the wealthy upper class and the impoverished lower class, with the gap between them widening dramatically. The elite have built a new place to live, far from the struggling masses. They reside in a space station orbiting Earth called Elysium, a perfect city free of illness and suffering. Elysium is a paradise with every luxury imaginable, but its most valuable asset is the med bay. These medical chambers, privately owned, can cure any disease or heal any physical injury instantly. While life in Elysium is idyllic, Earth is a nightmare. People live under the rule of robotic police who enforce a zero-tolerance policy with violence. Early in the film, a young boy named Max da Costa and his friend Frei Santiago dream of reaching Elysium. Max promises to take Frei there one day. Max grows up in an orphanage run by a nun who he adores, and his sole ambition is to visit Elysium. However, as time passes, Max becomes a criminal and loses touch with Frei. The nun who raised him has passed away, and Max is trying to leave his criminal life behind by working a regular job at Armadine Corporation, a factory that produces weaponry for Elysium and the robotic police. One day, Max is harassed by robotic police officers on his way to work, and they break his wrist for resisting. At the hospital, he unexpectedly runs into Frei, who is now a nurse. As they catch up, Max tries to ask her out, but she's called away to help another patient. The hospital is overcrowded, a result of the overpopulation and rampant disease. Later at work, Max's pay is docked for being late. The CEO of Armadine, John Carlyle, is a resident of Elysium who oversees the factories on Earth, caring only about profits and showing no concern for his workers' well-being. Meanwhile, a criminal named Spider has developed an illegal way for people on Earth to emigrate to Elysium, though the journey is incredibly dangerous. And only a few survive. Those attempting to enter Elysium first obtain identification brands, which grant them access to the station's resources. They then board makeshift spaceships and head towards Elysium. As they approach, Elysium's Defense Secretary Jessica Delacourt is alerted and orders her enforcer on Earth, C.M. Kruger, to intercept them. Kruger launches missiles at the ships, destroying 2 of them and killing 46 people. However, the 3rd ship makes it to Elysium. Before its passengers can escape, Jessica orders their capture. Robotic police and helicopters pursue and detain the Earthlings. A mother and her sick daughter manage to reach a med bay, where the girl is healed due to her identification brand. The mother is overjoyed to see her daughter healthy, but they are soon arrested by the robots. The others who resist are killed, while the rest are deported back to Earth. Back on Earth, Max's life takes a tragic turn when a malfunction at his workstation traps him inside a hazardous area. Despite the danger, his supervisor forces him to enter and fix the problem. As Max complies, the door seals shut, and he is exposed to a deadly dose of radiation. A little while later, he is dragged out of the chamber and taken to a medical unit. Another robot informs him that he will soon suffer catastrophic organ failure and only has 5 days left to live. CEO John comes to see Max lying on a bed, but he's more concerned about the bedding being ruined than Max's condition. A robot hands Max some pills to manage the pain and keep him functional until the inevitable happens. Following the last mission, Jessica is called in by Patel, the president of Elysium. He disapproves of her methods and doesn't condone the reckless killing of people. However, Jessica fires back, insisting that she won't allow their future home, Elysium, to be invaded by Earth's population. Patel, in turn, warns Jessica that she'll be fired if she causes more casualties and orders her to stop using Kruger immediately. Meanwhile, on Earth, Kruger is ordered to surrender all his weapons, as his services are no longer required. Furious and feeling betrayed by Jessica, he resents the order. At the same time, Max's criminal associate Julio sees him limping back from work and steps in to assist. After helping Max with his medication, Max asks him to find Spider, as he's now desperate to get to Elysium to use the medbay for treatment. Max and Julio meet with Spider and ask him to arrange a way to Elysium in exchange for a favor Max did for him 3 years ago. Instead, Spider presents Max with a new offer: to infiltrate the mind of one of Elysium's high-ranking officials to obtain passcodes and classified data. Spider wants to use the information to drain the official's bank accounts. If Max completes the task, Spider promises to send him to Elysium for his cure. With no other way to save his life, Max agrees. It turns out the official Max needs to target is none other than John, the man who cared more about bedsheets than Max's life. However, Spider knows that Max isn't physically capable of pulling off the mission in his current state. So he surgically installs a third-generation powered exoskeleton onto Max's body and links a neural chip to his brain. The exoskeleton grants Max strength on par with a police droid. In a later scene, CEO John meets with Jessica, who has grown tired of the president's policies. She convinces John to reboot and override Elysium's core computer, reinstating her as president. John agrees and returns to Earth to carry out the task. He also installs a defense mechanism that will kill anyone trying to download data from his mind. As he boards a shuttle to return to Elysium, Max and his crew shoot it down before it can depart. They find John and are about to extract the necessary data from him when a droid intervenes, sparking a shootout where John is fatally shot. They defeat the droid and retrieve the information from John's brain. Jessica is alerted about the attack on John and immediately sends Kruger after Max and his crew. Kruger and his men arrive and open fire on Max's group. All of Max's teammates, including his close friend Julio, are killed, but Max manages to escape. Now, Jessica is panicked, knowing someone has access to her secret plan to overthrow the president. She blocks all signals in the area, preventing any ships from leaving. Meanwhile, Kruger also comes into possession of the data extracted from John's brain and realizes it contains Jessica's covert program. He encourages his men to gather more of it, seemingly for his own purposes. In the meantime, a gravely wounded Max seeks help from Frey. She takes him to her home and tends to his injuries. The next morning, Max wakes to see a little girl by his side. It turns out she's Frey's daughter, who is battling leukemia and has very little time left. Frey pleads with Max to take her daughter to Elysium, but Max insists that dangerous people are hunting him, and anyone associated with him will be in grave danger. After Max leaves, Kruger and his men arrive in search of him. When they discover that Max was treated there, they take Frey and her daughter hostage. Later, Max goes to Spider with the code he extracted from John's brain, only to find that Jessica has blocked all flight paths, leaving them grounded. This means Spider can't fulfill his part of the deal, and Max won't be able to reach Elysium. Spider reviews the code stored in Max's brain and is shocked to discover that it contains the instructions to reboot and reset all of Elysium. If they can manage to rewrite the code and grant citizenship to everyone, humanity could have access to the medbay technology, eliminating diseases worldwide. Spider urges Max to hold off until they can override Elysium's system, which may take up to 5 days. But with only hours left to live, Max decides he wants to sell the data to Jessica in exchange for a chance to use the medbay to save his own life. Max realizes that Kruger needs him alive. So when Kruger arrives, Max surrenders himself. On board Kruger's ship, Max is shocked to find Frey and her daughter kidnapped. Kruger informs Jessica about the discovery of the code, prompting Jessica to lift the airspace blockade, allowing Kruger's ship, with Frey, her daughter, and Max, to proceed to Elysium. This also provides Spider and his team the opportunity to follow Max. They board a ship with the goal of finding Max and using the code for humanity's benefit. Meanwhile, on Kruger's ship, he mistreats Frey, angering Max. As Max fights back, their altercation escalates, leading to a shootout inside the ship. Max hurls a grenade at Kruger, destroying half of his face. The ship's controls are damaged, causing it to crash into a luxurious residence on Elysium. Jessica orders everyone aboard the ship to be brought to her. Frey carries her daughter from the wrecked ship and enters the nearest house to search for a medbay. She finds one, but it doesn't function because they aren't citizens. Eventually, the guards capture all of them and take them to Jessica. Kruger's men place Kruger in a medbay to repair his face, while Jessica straps Max into a machine to extract the data from his brain, knowing the process will kill him. She orders her team to proceed, as Max's life holds no value to her. After Jessica departs, Kruger's men remove Frey and her daughter. Just as the doctors are about to extract the data from Max, he breaks free. Meanwhile, Jessica scolds Kruger for the ship's crash and endangering the citizens of Elysium. Infuriated, Kruger stabs her in the neck, planning to rewrite the code and declare himself president of Elysium. Kruger's men begin targeting the facility's politicians, while Kruger heads to rewrite the code. Meanwhile, Spider and his team land on Elysium and start tracking Max's location within the facility. Max, searching for Frey, notices Spider through a screen and contacts him, urging him to proceed with the plan to make everyone a citizen of Elysium, thus eradicating all diseases from Earth. Max then rescues Frey and meets up with Spider. He sends Frey to the nearest medbay, telling her to wait until everyone is recoded as a citizen so her daughter can be cured. Afterward, Max and Spider head to recode the system, but are intercepted by Kruger. A fierce battle ensues between Max and Kruger, but Max is quickly overwhelmed. The tide of the battle shifts when Max succeeds in removing Kruger's neural chip, effectively shutting down his entire system. After defeating Kruger, Max and Spider reach the mainframe, preparing to extract the code from Max's brain. However, since CEO John had programmed that whoever extracts the code would die, the only way to save the rest of the world is for Max to sacrifice himself. In his final moments, Max calls Frey, telling her that he kept the promise he made to her when they were children. He gazes at Earth, comparing it to the locket his nun caretaker gave him long ago. After this emotional exchange, he presses the button to reboot Elysium's system, ending his own life in the process. The system registers every human as a citizen. Freya's daughter is healed in the medbay. Meanwhile, ships are sent to Earth equipped with medbays to help heal the sick and injured. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the channel. Thanks for watching.